Right, we are live now. All right, namaste everyone. Welcome to the Hindi University. I'm just sharing the class on some of our groups, and then we'll get the class started. Okay, awesome. Well, really excited to have everyone in the class today. And as you know, we meet every Sunday at 8 a.m. US Pacific time, and we learn about the Hindi language. For those of you who are new to Hindi University, you can learn more about us by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hindi University. You can also learn more about us by going to our main page, which is tiny.cc/Hindi University. And you can find out all the coursework and the class material we have on this link. I definitely encourage you to check out this page if you have not done it before. And if you need any help getting there, this is the best time to ask me. Also, one more thing I want to highlight, if you want to know the details on how to join the Hindi class every Sunday, you can find the details there in this page as well. As you know, we've been lately working on the book called Teach Yourself Hindi. So you can find the soft copy of the book also here, Teach Yourself Hindi. Okay, it's a book written by Professor Rupert Snell, and we have that book there. Okay. As you know, we've been working on the chapter 14 in the last none of the pen are working in the last several weeks. Okay, so we've been working on this called chapter 14, and in the previous class we covered the triplets of the verbs, in which we learned about the direct case and the causative case and the applicable scenarios there. Okay, in this class we'll be covering interesting scenarios of two verbs. Okay, so it's basically interesting scenarios using two verbs that we have known for several months, lagna and dena. Okay, so by the end of this class, my goal is to make sure you'll be able to use both of these verbs along with other verbs and understand, when you are using lagna and dena along with other verbs, how it modifies the meaning of the base verb. Okay, and as always, discussion is encouraged, so don't be shy to ask any questions, throughout the class. So with that in mind, let's get started. So we'll start with lagna first, and then in the second half of the class, we'll start with dena. Okay, so lagna is it has the multiple use in Hindi. Okay, typically when we use it, the most the common sentences you will hear is अच्छा लगता है or अच्छी लगती है. Okay, मुझे apple अच्छा लगता है, I like apple. Okay, or you can say मुझे strawberry अच्छी लगती है. Strawberry is feminine, so you will say मुझे strawberry अच्छी लगती है. Okay, those are the basic cases. And you can also say in the simple sentences, you can say मुझे ठंड लग रही है. Okay, like I'm feeling cold. Okay, और मुझे गर्मी लग रही है, I'm feeling hot. So in essence, if you really draw the parallel, just lagna, it means to be attached. Okay, or the other would be to feel. And when you say mujhe thand lag rahi hai, it really means the thand is attached to you, the cold is attached to you. Okay, that's what it means. But that's basically when you're using lagna on its own. Okay, what if you were to use lagna along with some of the other verbs? How does it change the meaning of the base verb? Let's learn about that. So let's say you have some of the verbs that you are familiar with, all chalna, okay, which is to walk. Okay, so I'm going to just take the basic verbs here. Bolna, to speak or to talk. Similarly, you have sochna. What is sochna? Anyone?
To think.
To think. Good. Sochna is to think. Okay, and then you have bhulna, let's say. And what is bhulna?
To feel hungry?
That's bhuk lagna. Okay, to feel hungry.
Yes.
Bhulna.
To forget, huh?
To forget. Very good, right? To forget. And one thing you will notice, these are all ending with na, all of them, because these are the infinitive form of the verb. Okay, now we'll learn when we are using lagna along with these verbs, what happens to them. Okay, anyone wants to take a guess? Chalna plus lagna, what will happen to it? You can write it, in the chat box as well. If that's easier. Kinga, you want to give it a try? What do you think will happen? Chalna plus lagna.
To start? Was it just to start to walk?
To start to walk, but how will you say that? in Hindi?
Chalna lagna?
Very
Chalna
good.
lagna hai.
So chalna plus lagna will become?
Chalna.
It will become?
Chagna.
Chalna lagna.
Chane.
Chalna lagna.
Very good, right? So it will become chalna lagna, right? So basically what happens here is when you're using lagna along with it, you change it to the oblique case. So chalna becomes chalne. Okay. And what does it mean, Kinga? You mentioned it, and I think Rita ji, you also joined. What does it mean?
To start to walk.
To start to walk. Okay. Or to begin to walk. Precisely. To begin to walk. Okay. Let's do the other one. Bolna plus lagna. Simona ji, you want to give it a try? Bolna plus lagna.
I just guess it's the same, bolna lagna.
Very good, right? So it's bolne lagna. And what does it mean?
To begin to speak.
Yeah, very good. To begin to speak. And similarly, when you have sochna plus lagna is sochne lagna, and you have bhulna plus lagna is bhulne lagna. Okay, now that's the basic. But now the next thing is, when do you use these constructs in conversation? Like, think about the scenario when you will be using it. Who can give it a try? When you will really, even in English or in your own language, when will you use these kind of construct that, he began to talk, or, he began to speak?
Would it be like जब आप स्कूल जाते हैं तो आप सोचने लगना?
Okay, close. When he asked a hard problem, everyone started thinking. Everyone began to think. Yep, keep going. Yeah.
So like then like जब आप so जब आप राम एक जोक बोला तो सब लोग हंसने लगा?
Very good, right? Very good. I hope all of you got it, right? What he said was, जब Ram ने एक joke बोला, like, when Ram cracked a joke, everyone started laughing, right? सब लोग हंसने लगे. Good example. Anyone else? It doesn't have to be correct. You just have to give it a try. Tatiana ji, you want to give it a try?
Bhulne lagna.
Bhulne lagna. Okay. So,
Or we can also tell mujhe bhook lagi hai, but it is I'm hungry. It's from another, yes.
okay. So you're saying it's, if I were to use bhook lagna, mujhe bhook lagne lagi. So, in other words, when I saw a lot of delicious food in front of me, then mujhe
Bhulne lagna.
bhook
Mujhe bhook lagi hai.
lagne lagi, right?
Lagne
I
lagi.
began, yeah, I began to, I started feeling hungry. Okay, so those are all valid scenario. When something happened, like spontaneously, or you start doing, in an unplanned way, something happens or a reaction happens, right? So those are the typical scenarios, like So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to describe the scenarios here. Okay. And typically in all the scenarios you've seen, these are most commonly used in the past cases. Most commonly used in the past tense. So even though I wrote like, chalne lagna is to begin to walk, bolne lagna is to begin to speak, commonly you will use it in the past tense. So you will say chalne laga. Okay, similarly, it's bolne laga. For a guy, lagi for a girl, and lage for masculine plural. So laga, lagi, and lage. Okay, so the scenario that I was trying to just highlight is like, let's say you go to a restaurant, okay, or you go to a food truck and you see a lot of food, okay, and your reaction, just like I said, would be, after seeing a lot of food, I started feeling hungry. Okay, I started feeling hungry, or I began to feel hungry. So to feel hungry is bhook lagna. Okay, bhook lagna, that's the word we were using. Okay, now along with it, you're using lagna as well. Okay, so in this case, you will change that to oblique case, bhook lagne, and because it's feminine, it's bhook lagne lagi. Okay, I'll give more examples so it's clear, because I just started giving an example which is where you have lagna, and along with that you have another lagna. So just bear with me, and we'll see more examples which will clarify this concept. Okay, so imagine it's like, when the teacher asked the question, so let's say a teacher is asking a tough question, the students, they began to think. Which one will be used here? They began to think. Bache, what will you say? You can write it in a chat as well, or you can say it. Bache, what do you think, Yirka? We just learned about the verb to think. So bache.
Okay. Bache sochne lage.
Very good. Bache sochne lage. Awesome. So what you've done is you've done the verb which is sochna, and along with that you use lagna, and because it's in the past, began to think, it's laga, and then you change it to the oblique case, sochne lage. Okay. What other scenarios or other phrases can you use instead of like the student started to think? What if I wanted to say the kids started talking? Like, sometimes they gossip in the class when the teacher is teaching, right? So typically we say baat karna, like, got to gossip. How will that change? Bolne lage, okay, that's good. But you can say baate karne lage. बातें करने लगे. More examples. I'm looking at you guys to tell me now. More examples. Okay. Tom, can you think of some examples?
Yes, may I use admi bulne laga.
Okay, आदमी भूलने लगा. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so the man started forgetting, right? So आदमी, which is that's what you're saying. The man started.
Yes, sir.
Okay, forgetting or to forget. Man started forgetting. Okay, that's a good one. आदमी भूलने लगा. Okay, I'll take that one. Let me give some more example. Maybe that will get you guys thinking a little bit more. So let's say scenario that we have is like, you are going out and all of a sudden it started raining. Okay, how will you say that in Hindi? All of you can write in chat. It started raining. Sunita ji, how will you say that?
हम बाहर आए, बारिश होने लगी.
Okay, so बारिश
होने लगी.
होने लगी. Okay, बारिश होने लगी. Okay, and what was the sentence you used before?
हम बाहर आए.
Okay, okay, good. So जब हम बाहर गए और जब हम बाहर आए, हमने देखा कि अचानक बारिश होने लगी. Okay, so the verb here is simply, if you want to really use it in a verb manner, you can say बारिश होना, and along with that you have lagna. Okay, so होना changes to होने, and then because it's feminine, होने लगी. Okay, बारिश होने लगी. It began to rain. Okay, so wherever I'm using started, in English you can use began also, right? It began to rain. बारिश होने लगी. So this example I think Rupert Snell also uses in the book. Okay, let's say you ran a lot. Okay, and you began to feel thirsty. Okay, and you how will you say that? We began to feel thirsty. We began to feel thirsty. Vatsalaji, you want to give it a try on this one? We began to feel thirsty.
हमें प्यास लगने लगी.
Okay, हमें और हमको प्यास, either way is fine. प्यास लगने लगी. Awesome, right? So प्यास लगना is basically to feel thirsty. It changes to लगने and then लगी. हमें प्यास लगने लगी. Okay. In the same pattern, you can make multiple sentences. हमें भूख लगने लगी. That's exactly the same. हमें ठंड लगने लगी. Okay. They turned off the AC on the the lowest temperature. और उसके बाद हमें ठंड लगने लगी. Okay. Or the weather was so hot, and on top of it they turned on the heater, and हमको गर्मी लगने लगी. Okay, all of those are same thing. Okay, all these are feelings basically, right? Any questions?
Why is it lagne instead of hua or hona for the first? Why is it like lagna twice?
Which one?
For humko pyas lagne lagi. Why isn't it humko pyas hua lagi or something? Why is it lagne lagi?
Pyas, it's the condition that is attached to you. It's not like it doesn't happen, right? It's the that's like bhook also. Bhook, it doesn't happen. It gets attached to you, right?
Yeah.
That's why it is like bhook lagna or pyas lagna, thand lagna or garmi lagna, right? If it is like for the weather, you can say thand ho rahi hai or garmi ho rahi hai, but to you, it is getting that condition is getting attached. right?
It's like it's not an action. It's like a state of condition,
That is correct.
not
That
like
is
a
correct.
tangible action. Okay, I see that. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other scenarios you guys want to give it a try, or any other question? Okay, बच्चे मुझे देख कर रोने लगे. Okay, that's a good example. You know, बच्चे, and that could be like, you know, they were missing you so much that when, you know, the kids saw the mom, they began to cry. So बच्चे रोने लगे. This is a good one. बच्चे रोने लगे. Okay, because now so far we are using all singulars or singular, masculine singular or feminine singular, but it is like, you know, plural. बच्चे रोने लगे. Okay, good. Anyone else? चक्कर आने लगे. That's a very good one. Okay, what does it mean? चक्कर आने लगे.
To feel dizzy. Started to feel dizzy.
Yeah, to start to feel dizzy. चक्कर आने लगे, right? Like, you know, this is the sentence you will say when you are visiting a doctor, that, you know, मैं सुबह सुबह उठी और मुझे चक्कर आने लगे. Okay, चक्कर आना, in case if you guys have not heard of this phrase. Chakkar ana, right? And then after that you're putting lagna, and that changes to chakkar aane lage, right? It is plural. It is used as a plural. Chakkar aane lage. Okay. वह तैरने लगा. Okay, so that's basically he started or he began to swim. Okay, वह तैरने लगा अचानक से. Okay. I'm just reading all of your sentences. Okay, so in case if you haven't, none of you, I mean, if you haven't had a chance to speak, this is your opportunity to use in our chat box, so that way, you know, you share your example sentences with the rest of the group. Any other question before we move on to the second part of this one?
Maybe I have a question, Ashu Ji.
Go for it.
Is this used for, can we use this also when the action was planned?
No. So that was my next thing.
Okay.
All of these are like happening spontaneously or in an unplanned manner.
Okay.
Like, you know, look at it. Like you saw the food, you didn't really plan that, you know, you will get hungry. It's just like मुझे भूख लगने लगी. Okay, like when you went out, it began to rain. बारिश होने लगी. You didn't plan it. It just happened. Okay, so these are all unnatural or unplanned, you know, events. Okay, unplanned events, not, you know, unnatural, unplanned or natural event that just happened. Okay, but something that you are planning to do. Okay, there is a subtle difference there. Okay, so just make note, like, you know, these are all unplanned events. But what if you're, you know,
So then I have a question.
yeah, go for it.
As you know, we look at also Usa Jane's book, and in one of her
Yeah.
examples is every day she begins to cook dinner at 5 o'clock, and she used lagna, which to me that's planned because it's something that she does every day.
So what is the sentence she made?
It's it says every day she begins to cook dinner at 5 o'clock. Yeah, no, my Devanagari is still bad. So it's like yaha, sumkar, no, it's like hot. It's like rose. I don't know. Anyway, she's using lagna. She uses actually like lagate.
बच्चा खाना बनाने लगी or something like that.
Yeah, lagate hai, which is every day. So that's why I was confusing, because she didn't use like sharu kana or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that sentence being used in both ways, but send it to me. I'll definitely, you know.
Okay. So we understood it to mean that lagna could be used for both spontaneous or not spontaneous, but sharu kana had to be not spontaneous.
That is correct. Yeah. So now, when you're deliberately planning something, okay, deliberately planning some action, you know, the key thing here is, so far we were using lagna, as opposed to that you will be using shuru karna, okay, along with the verb. Okay, so let's say in our case, the verb is likhna. Okay, likhna is to write. And along with that, if you were to use shuru karna. Shuru karna is to start. Okay, to start. It basically, so far, we were changing the verb to oblique case, but when you're using shuru karna, it doesn't change. So it will become the infinitive case itself. So likhna shuru karna. So it's basically to start, to write. Likhna shuru karna. Okay. Similarly, the other examples could be dodna shuru karna or tairna shuru karna. Okay. Or bolna shuru karna. Okay. Or padhna shuru karna. Okay. So now let's use a scenario. Scenario could be like, I know my exams are coming, and to prepare for the exam, you can say मैंने पढ़ना शुरू किया. पढ़ना शुरू किया. I started to study. Okay. Now, what is the difference? The difference here is this is a planned event. You know that the exams are coming, and that's why the person started to study. Okay. पढ़ना शुरू किया. All of them I'm using in past tense. Okay. That's the most common one. Okay. Similarly, like the author ne, like author, he started to write a book. Okay. He is not automatically or all of a sudden waking up one day like, okay, I want to write a book. It's not like that, right? It's basically he is planning for it. So author ne kitab. So kitab likhni, or to use it as a feminine, kitab likhni, shuru ki. Okay, it's a slightly different example. Similarly, like माता ने और मम्मी ने खाना बनाना शुरू किया. Now she doesn't all of a sudden like you can say खाना बनाने लगी, like you can hear those scenarios as well. But if it is a planned one, you can say मम्मी ने खाना बनाना शुरू किया. I'm giving multiple examples, so it starts kind of like fitting in the mental frame. Okay. Let's say उसकी नौकरी जब फॉरेन सर्विसेज में लगी, उसने हिंदी सीखना शुरू किया. Okay. Planned, like when he got a job in like some foreign services, he started to learn Hindi. Okay, उसने हिंदी सीखना शुरू किया. Just on these lines, now my ask to you guys is, can you guys think of some more examples which align with this? Okay, or different also. You can write it or you can share it with the group. Tommy ji, good to have you in the class. How are you doing? Hi. Who would like to share? Everyone is quiet today.
Ashu Ji, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The last one,
Yeah.
the Hindi Sikhna, is there a reason we aren't saying Sikhni ki?
You can say that also. I mean, I see your confusion. You can say Hindi सीखनी शुरू की. Hindi सीखनी. Is that you're asking, right? Can I say this one as well? Hindi सीखनी शुरू की.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of them are correct, I would say. Both of them are correct.
Is there one is an implied sort of postposition of the Hindi? Is that why we with the
That's right.
keep asking it ending?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, in this one, it's, you know, it's implied ko, which is blocking it. And,
Yeah.
you know, but I just say it without, as a native speaker, I'm just saying it without worrying about it. I don't even mention ko. But in my mind, isne Hindi ko seekhna shuru kiya, right? Versus what you said was like, if there is no ko, why am I not changing it? But you can say Hindi seekhni shuru ki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. But now I have asked to you, like, can you share some more examples in these lines? Or if you need more time, that's okay as well.
मैंने स्कूल चलना शुरू किया.
Okay, very good. मैंने स्कूल जाना शुरू किया. Okay, very good. Awesome. Anyone else? Alice, you want to unmute and share your thoughts?
Ashu Ji, can I guest share?
1 minute, okay. As soon as she's,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go for it.
हमने फल खाना शुरू किया.
Okay. हमने कल फल खाना शुरू किया. Okay, good. And you were saying something? Go for it.
मैंने हिंदी बोलने शुरू किया.
Okay, मैंने हिंदी बोलना शुरू किया. Okay.
बोलना. Okay.
Anyone else who hasn't had a chance? Navneet, कुछ share करोगे? You can unmute yourself.
मैंने पैसा दिया.
Say it again.
मैंने पैसे दिया.
मैंने पैसे दिया. Okay. And what are you trying to say with that? Help me.
I paid the rent.
You paid the rent.
Yes.
Okay. May not apply directly here, but you know, if you can write in the chat, I can help out. You know, formulate what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Okay. Like I paid the rent. I paid the money. Like I paid the money. How can?
So मैंने, okay. So if you're simply saying I paid the money, it will simply mean मैंने पैसे दिए. Okay. If you're saying I started paying money or I started paying the rent, मैंने rent देना और किराया देना शुरू किया. Okay. Something that you planned, like मैंने किराया देना शुरू किया. Okay. Or it could be like, you know, the other scenario could be like, you know, when the landlord, you know, threatened the tenant, उसने किराया देना, you know, शुरू किया. Okay. But now it making sense. Your sentence makes sense to me now. Okay. Anyone else? Sangeeta ji, you want to share something?
सारा ने अपनी शादी
सारा ने
अपनी शादी की तैयारी शुरू की.
Okay, very good. सारा ने अपनी शादी की तैयारी you know, शुरू की. Okay, awesome. तैयारी शुरू की. Awesome. So hopefully it makes sense. My homework is like, you know, you for the previous you know, scenario, lagna and shuru karna. You know, my ask is like all of you will write 3 sentences that, and you will use it basically from today till next week. You will try to use it on your day-to-day conversation. Okay, both the scenarios, lagna along with a verb, and similarly shuru karna along with a verb. Okay. Feel free to ask any questions. Otherwise, we'll jump to the second half of the class, which is basically using dena with other verbs. Okay. So in this one, as you know, the major difference is, or the key difference is like when you're deliberately planning something or starting something, you know, you will use shuru karna. And something happens naturally or unplanned way, you use lagna. Okay, now let's use same thing that we did before, same words, but this time we will use dena. So you have chalna that we wrote before, which is to walk, and you have bolna, and then we have sochna as well. And now we are using dena along with it. Okay, just like lagna, when you're using dena with other words, you will use the oblique case of the words here. So what will it look like? Simonaj, you want to give it a try? Chalna plus dena would be?
मैंने
Right now you can just
चल
say,
दिया.
okay, so that's in the past, but if you were to simply say chalna plus dena, it would be?
चल देना.
Chalne dena, very good.
Okay.
Chalne dena, okay, which means to allow to walk. Okay, to allow to walk. What about this one? Bolne, bolna plus dena would be?
बोलने देना.
Bolne dena, which is same basically to allow to speak or to let someone speak. And last one, sochna plus dena would be?
सोचने देना.
Very good. Sochne dena, which is to allow to think or to let someone think. Okay. Now, these sentences, they can be used just like this. So, chalne dena, bolne dena. They can be used in past. They can be used in future. Okay. They can also be used in imperative way, which we'll be covering just now. Okay. So if I'm saying my sentence just like usko bolne dena. Okay. Who would like to give it a try? What I'm trying to say here? Bolne dena, we just did it here, right? To allow to speak, but I just put usko along with it. Okay. Usko bolne dena. Yirka, what do you think it means? Usko bolne dena.
It means let him speak.
Very good. It means let him speak. Let him or let her speak. But tell me here, why did I use ko?
I remember a sentence that you told before a while. It was something like "Mujhe aram do," like give.
Mujhe aram karne do. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So it's like to him, give the allowance of speaking or something like that.
That's good. That's right. Right. It's basically it's to him, right? It's coming towards him, right? So that's why it's like usko bolne do. Okay, or usko bolne do is let him or let her speak. Okay. Similarly, if I were to say unko sochne dena. So far I'm still using it. I'm ending all of them with dena. Okay. Right after that we'll jump to like, can we change it? And what does it mean? Unko sochne dena. Tommy ji, what do you think it means? Unko sochne dena.
It means to let them think.
Let them think. Let them. Can you think of any other examples? Along the same lines, Tommy?
Like usko khane dena.
Okay, let him eat or let her eat. Let him or her eat. Usko khane dena. Okay, there are multiple scenarios where you can use it. Let's say, a simple scenario I can think of, like a kid is playing in the park, and he's been playing for many hours, and dad and mom are talking, right? And dad is like, he's not finished the homework, right? As soon as he comes back from playing, and he has to finish his homework. Okay. And mom is like, no, let him eat first. Okay. Usko khane dena. Okay. That could be your the case here. Usko khane dena. Usko khana khane dena pehle. Okay. Right. So in all those cases, I use the dena as it is. उनको सोचने देना, उसको खाने देना, उसको बोलने देना. Okay. So this, think of it as like a case one, where you are using the verb and you are using the ending as it is. Okay. Your case two is when you are using it as more as a command or as an imperative. So call it case two as more imperative. All of the sentences that you've done so far, you can change the ending would to do, to basically do, they. Okay, all of them you're changing the ending, and I hope you guys remember from the previous classes that it's one is usko khane do, same thing, usko sochne do is like let him think. Okay. Usko sochne de, it's a little bit more informal. Okay, very casually you are saying, like, to your peer or to your, like, someone junior than you, you're saying usko sochne de. Okay. The more respectful would be DGA. So these are all the forms of dena, do, de, DGA, and if you guys remember, DGA ga. Rupert Snell uses it. Frankly speaking, Hindi speakers, native speakers on a day-to-day basis, we don't use it much, DGA ga. So your best choice would be do, de, and DGA in the case two. Okay, so all the sentences we have done so far, you can just replace dena with do, de, and DGA. Okay, same thing. Usko khane dijiye, more respectful. Let him eat or let her eat. Usko pani peene dijiye. Okay, or mujhko pani peene dijiye. Let me drink. Okay, let me drink water. Okay, I can change it to mujhko pani peene do. Let me drink. All of them in English are the same, but in Hindi, there are subtle differences, based on how you're ending it with. Okay. Do is in between, de is very, very casual, DGA is more respectful. So the degree of respect is really going like this. So this is the most respectful, second one, third one, and the fourth one. De is very casual. There's hardly any respect there. And it could be counterintuitive as well. Like, if you're too close of a friend, right? You don't really need to put in extra effort. You can just simply say they, which means like you're very close. You're so close that you're using, mujhe khana khane de, right? Question here, anyone?
I have, Ashu Ji.
Yeah, go for it.
So the difference between case one and case two, because to me, the first case seems like unfinished sentence. To me, it seems this way. I would use the second case. So can you explain the difference between those cases?
Two cases, right? So this is, I would think it's mostly in the, like, something that does not happen. Usko khane dena in the future, basically, or mujhko bolne dena. Let him speak. Usko bolne dena, right? So same thing that I said, like in the example when the mom and dad are talking, when he comes home, let him eat. He's not finished his food, but something that will happen in the future to allow him to speak. In this one, it's more of a command. Okay, so it's basically, I'm thinking of like an example that can, just in one example, if I can clarify both the scenarios, right? Think of it as more as like the suggestion for the future. Okay, whereas this one is more of a command, like which is happening in the present. Okay, for example, if you are speaking right now, right? Aapko I'm just thinking more specific examples here. There's no, 1 minute here. Kelly ji, what any thoughts from you on this?
I just remember it being more like what you were saying, that you use the infinitive, at least when I remember learning the different imperatives, they included the infinitive in it, in that it's not a determined time, or it might be just something that's posted like in a public announcement or something.
Yeah.
So it's not someone giving you a direct order to do it, or not in, you know, I mean, the thing that's interesting about the, whatchamacallits, imperatives is, this is another thing, is that sometimes people say it's not so much, it's the tone, that you could even say do and it's respectful, but it's the tone, right?
Yeah.
But that dena is just like like you were saying, it's just an unspecified time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I had as a native speaker. That's what is in my mind. Like, you know, here you're not specifying any, like this is something in the future, or, you know, like khane dena, like, you know, generally, you know, that, you know, let that happen. Whereas this is more of a command from one person to another person, right? So let's see, Yirka, you from your perspective, take any verb. Let's, maybe it'll be easier for me to deconstruct that. Give any verb. Your favorite verb.
Dena.
Huh?
Dena.
Dena. Okay. So let's say you put, let me erase it, okay, case 1 and case 2, and we will do some more digging there. Okay, so let's say pina, use it with something. Pina, what? Pani pina or something else?
Pani is fine.
Pani is fine. Pani pine dena. Okay, and let's use the same thing. You want to use any pronoun with it? Mujhko pani peene dena, or you want to use something else? Let's see.
Yeah, let's use this.
So mujhko pani peene dena versus mujhe or mujhko pani peene do, right? This one is like, if I'm saying it to you, mujhko pani peene do, right? I mean, let me, you know, the scenario that I have in my mind is like, you know, we are right now talking to each other. I'm trying to drink water, and you are either asking a lot of questions to me, and I was like, hold on, mujhko pani peene do, okay? And then I'll respond to you after that, okay? In this one, like mujhko pani peene dena, I'm not defining the time, right? So when we are together, I'm going to use this phrase, mujhko pani peene do, okay? Let me drink water, okay? And this one is like, you know, let's say we both plan to, and again, this is a very weird scenario, right? We plan to play soccer, okay? After we are, you know, I'm saying like, you know, when I'm done playing soccer, mujhko pani peene dena, okay? Don't stop me from drinking water when we are done playing, okay? I know it's not so clear in this example, but hopefully it you know, some of it makes sense.
Ashu Ji, I just looked up in Usha Jain, and for people that have it's on page 54, she talks about it being the neutral imperative. And she said they're generally employed in interpersonal situations such as giving directions, and also when giving commands, with no specific reference to the relative status of both parties. And so it's usually for tum or op, and sometimes it's used when it's not to be carried out right away. So
Not to be, okay, so not to be, I think that's the key one, not to be
carried out right away, and also when you're like giving directions, you know, with no specific reference to the relative status. So
okay, I think to me this makes, like, this is simply the thing, you can take it with you, not to be carried out right away, like, so you don't have to do it right away, basically, right? I mean,
So again, it's about future, as you said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, good. So let's do the case number 3. So far we have done just in the infinitive case. We have done it in the imperative. Let's do case 3, which is we have not used them in a negative sentence so far. How does it work? Because the sentence could be don't let him go. Don't let him go. Okay. Okay. And how will you say that in Hindi? Don't let him go. Someone who has not tried before. Sharon, you want to give it a try? How will you say that? Don't let him go. You start with this one first. Let him go. And if that is hard, you start with just to go and then dena and work backwards. I think you have to unmute yourself, Sharon. Yeah. Try now.
I started with usko jana.
Usko. Okay. Usko jana. And then?
Dia.
Okay. So remember the verb is?
Dena.
Yes, very good. So usko.
Jane.
Very good.
Dia, I said.
So it's okay. You can use dena. And if you were to use don't, it would be usko jane dena is?
Nahi before the verb.
Okay. Usko, yes. Usko jane. In this case, you will say mat. Usko jane mat dena. Okay. Yeah. Usko jane, you can typically, in this case, you will hear either mat or na. You will see both of them. You will not see nahi. Usko jane mat dena or usko jane na dena. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Let's see more example of it. Don't let him forget. Like sometimes you say that, like, you want to remind them of something that did, and make them guilty, right? So yeah, let me finish this one. How will we say that? And then I think Vedant, you were asking some questions. Don't let him forget. How will we say that in Hindi? Someone who has not tried before.
Can I try this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I say usko bhulne mat do?
Very good. Usko bhulne mat do. Usko bhulne mat. If I use dena, as the Usha Jain says, it's not like a specific, a time frame. But usko bhulne mat do is like you are giving a command. Okay, so either way is fine. You can use dena, do dijiye, dijiyega. Uske bhulne mat do. Good. Awesome. I think you were asking some questions, Vedant?
Yeah, so for the previous example, how come we don't use ko? So like, how come we don't say usko jane ko mat dena? How come we say uske jane mat dena?
Usko, why are we not putting ko here?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. Usko jane mat do. Like if it is like an object, that makes sense. Usko apple ko mat khane do. Like a specific apple, don't let him. But in this case, there is nothing that I see where I can put ko here. Right?
But isn't him like a specific person? So isn't like, I remember the example from Rupert Snell, like chotu ko mat marna, and it's because it's chotu, like a person, you use ko. So over here, we're talking about him. So why is there no ko?
Us chotu ko, what is the example that he gave?
The example Snell gave was chotu ko mat marna, like don't hit chotu.
So that is chotu ko.
Yeah.
Like usko, you're using ko here. But you are saying chotu ko mat marna.
Yeah.
What you are saying is like that ko is already here. Instead of
so it's built in to the usko.
Yeah, so it's veh plus ko is usko.
So that's why we don't need it twice.
Yes. what you are saying is like, don't let him, but that's a good question you asked. Why don't we write it down? Don't let him smoke a cigarette. Don't let him smoke, okay, a cigarette. How will you say that?
Usko cigarette mat pina.
Usko cigarette
mat pina.
mat
Pine. Pine do.
Pine do or pine. If you were to use infinitive, it's pine. Dena. Okay. So in this case, I can closely see that, if you're talking about a particular, cigarette, right? Or a thing, you can still put ko here. Cigarette ko mat pine dena. Okay. If you want to use ko along with it, even though your question was not for that, but as you asked me the question, I can think of a scenario where you can put ko after the object here. Usko cigarette ko mat peene dena. Okay. Usko kitab gar ko ganda mat karne dena. Don't let him, make a mess in the house. Okay. Gar ko ganda mat karne. That means this particular house, don't make him make the mess. Don't let him make the mess. Okay. Make sense, or it's confusing?
So you're saying the second ko that you put in arrows at the bottom is optional, Ashu Ji?
It's
or is it because of the ko is an object now for cigarette?
So because in this case you are talking about generic cigarette, right? Generally, but if you're talking about a particular, so usko.
So back to your example, like don't. There was that nursery rhyme with the poisonous apple, whatever. Or you can go back to Adam and Eve or whatever you want to believe. It says don't let him or don't let her eat that apple. So then you would put ko,
That's
like you said, because you're talking about instead of don't let the kids eat apples, you're saying don't let her eat that apple.
That's right. That's
so you would put ko.
Yeah.
Like dad is saving one particular cookie that he wants, and mother says don't let her eat that cookie.
Yep.
Gotcha. Thank you. So it's like this particular cigarette, that's why it's ko. If it's just like cigarettes in general, don't let him smoke cigarettes, then usko cigarette mat peene dena.
That's right.
ठीक है. धन्यवाद.
Awesome. Okay. Any other question? Anyone? If not, we are right at the clock and we can do a breakout room.
Can I just ask for can I just ask for a quick reminder on the difference between mat and nahi?
Mat and nahi. Who would like to answer that? That's an interesting question. Why are we not using nahi here? We have by now.
I think I know. I think if we use imperatives, it should be mat. In other cases, we can use nahi.
Okay, so you're saying in the case of imperative, we use mat. In the other cases, nahi. Anyone else? Kelly ji or Rita ji, what do you guys think? Why are we using mat here?
No, that's the same with Yurka, that I just remember it being with imperatives.
Okay.
It's like prohibition.
That's right. So when you are prohibiting something, it's you are using mat, like usko bhulne mat do, chalne mat do, khane mat do, like usko, if someone is allergic to something, usko yeh mat, then it is more an use of a mat. Nahi is like we are using in the direct cases. I can look it up more of a specific grammatical reference, but these two, what you said makes sense to me as well. I can look up more specifically what's the rule for it, though, if you're looking for a rule. Yeah. Who was asking the question, by the way, so that I remember to.
It's Sharon.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. So what we'll do is, like, there is a small paragraph in the breakout room. I thought it will be a good idea for you to prepare for the next
I have
topic.
real quick question because I just looked it up real quick and it's not really. Here's something it does say though. It says to use na in the op form and mat in the tum form. Is that true?
Mat in the tu form.
Tum, like if you use tum, like if you're being more informal, and if you're being like less, if you're being more formal, you will use na for like op. Is that true? Have you heard that?
No,
Or are they interchangeable?
Yeah, they are interchangeable.
Okay.
I won't really put. I won't really create a
I'm trying to make sure I have all the grammar straight for Tom G.
Yeah. No, I won't really put that additional rule here. It's interchangeable, right? I mean, I will use the same thing. Usko cigarette mat peene do or unko cigarette mat peene do. You know, whether I'm talking.
Then it's for imperatives. It's this. They don't leave room for question or discussion. It's like this is what you're not going to do. That's it.
Yeah. Right. So what we'll do in the breakout room, there's a small paragraph on page number 181 of Rupert Snell book. So it'll be a short breakout room, 181 page number, where you are talking about Arun's book. That's the topic. Arun's book. I can share my screen so you guys know which one it is. So for folks who are watching live, thank you so much for joining. We'll stop the broadcast.